beyond Nope, okay, good. So privilege is like, there's no privilege, that's the right word there. But the secret is I am getting old. You know, I'm 30 years old. You know how nice it is just to go to bed early? This has happened multiple times this week. It's been 9 o'clock, and I'm like, I don't have to stay up anymore. I can just go to bed. Isn't it great? But anyway, trust me, you all get there. Well, don't worry. But anyway, take it away. It's good to be here this morning, and we're talking about some things. I guess I could do all the time because I have the power. So, one of the obviously gets to talk, right? That's how it works. Sorry about the rest of you. Looking at Isaiah, we're going to be going beginning right now. I'm going to talk about two aspects of Isaiah's prophecy. One is this idea of light. Arise and what? Shine. But where does the light come from? Where do we get light that we can shine out from? And so that's what Isaiah is trying to show us. And he gives us this beautiful picture of the sunrise. It's coming from which direction? The east. And the light is coming and it's getting brighter. You know, not too long ago, when it was warm in the morning in Arizona, believe it or not, it was pretty cold in the morning before the sun comes up. And I would take my walk when it was really hot. It would be up to 110 during the day, but in the morning it would be only 80 degrees. And so I go out before the sun comes up. And I take my walk, and you just see the beginnings of some light shimmering. It's like the sky is a different color here than it is behind me in the west. And so I would walk and I would see it get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. Then all of a sudden, the crest of the actual sun starts cutting through. And, you know, and as you watch that, if you ever get up in the morning, and you just take time to stand and just view that sunrise, it does something. It reminds you of something. It reminds you of someone greater. You know, the sun is the brightest, it is the most powerful light that exists in our universe. I know there are suns bigger than our sun, but they're far away. And they look tiny compared to the one that's close to us. And so we have this sunrise that's coming, this beautiful light. And, you know, it says in the scripture that Creator dwells in light so powerful, so bright, that you can't look into it. Now, that's a picture of the sun, isn't it? You ever have to look into the sun itself? Oh, yeah, I know. I have a close up friends who do the sun dance. They try. You know, it's bright. You know, it's fearsome. It's a fearsome light. There's something about Creator that's like, he's that way. It's almost like he's a fearsome light, yet somehow his light brings beauty to the whole world. And that's what the sunrise is about. Because this darkness hides the beauty. You know, all the colors that are in light, the sun looks like it's only one color. But as soon as you put some raindrops in there, and that light gets refracted and reflected out, all of a sudden you see there's all kinds of colors in that light.
the deeper the darkness. We're going to talk about this light and this darkness, because Isaiah doesn't just say that darkness will cover the earth. He says deep darkness. And we're going to look at, where does Isaiah, Creator will help us, where does he get these ideas? Well, of course, from the Creator, we know. He's a prophet. Our native people, we have prophets, right? We have those that speak the mind and heart of the Creator for our people. I think there's some beautiful prophecies in my Anishinaabe, Ojibwe ancestry. We had prophets, the seven fires we called them, and they spoke truth. And I love the truth that I find in my own native culture. I love the beauty that the light reveals. But there's darkness there too. Let's not kid ourselves as native people. There's darkness in our cultures. But we're not the only ones. There's darkness in every culture. All right? I was a friend, Richard Twist, Lakota. Good friend. We had lots of talks together. We stayed at his house a few times. And I had that privilege. And he would always say this. He'd say, why would I want to trade my sin-stained Lakota culture for your sin-stained American culture? Why would I want to trade cultures? Just because both cultures have problems, right? Both cultures have darkness in them. And that's what the light is all about. The light is supposed to shine into the darkness, reveal the darkness, and so it has no place to hide. Pretty soon you say, oh yeah, look at that cliff. Whoa, I could have fell off there. I didn't know it. I want to read it again. Just the first two verses. Arise and let Creator's light shine out from you. It's time for you to awake from your sleep. Oh, there's sleeping involved. Now what is the sleeping he's talking about? When do we sleep? You know what? I don't like sleeping when there's a bright light shining. We sleep in darkness. There's a time for darkness, for sleeping. But there's a time where we've been asleep too long. It's time to wake up. You know, I have an Apple Watch. Did you know that at 5 minutes before the alarm goes off, my Apple Watch thinks it's the sun? It brightens the whole room. Apple's trying to copy what's out there in nature, you know? But I love it. The sunrise brings it. And then he says, for the morning light you have been waiting for is dawning. Something's happening. Creator has made this world in such a way that we keep getting things made new again. Every day is a new beginning. Every month is another kind of new beginning. Every year is another kind of new beginning, and things circle around again and again and again. That's Creator trying to tell us something. He's trying to tell us about why he made us and how things work in this earth that he created, and how that he's always giving us new beginnings. Why? We need them. We need new beginnings. You know, yesterday I got so tired. I'm not used to being on my feet all day. I like sitting on that chair in front of my computer screen. But yesterday I was on my feet all day long, and by the time 9 o'clock hit, I was hurting. I was like, I don't think I've been this tired in a long time. But I knew that I could go to sleep and wake up recharged. A new beginning. Now, a lot of you experienced that last night. It says, turn your face toward grandfather. See, there's an importance here that I think Isaiah is trying to get across to the people of Israel, and we're going to talk a little bit about where they're coming from. He's trying to get across to them that even though the light is dawning, even though the light is coming, we have to face the light. We have to welcome the light. We have to turn toward the light, not away from it. When we turn away from the light, we're trying to hide something. But when we can stand fully in Creator's light without shame, that's when the light has done its work in us. And it says, turn your face toward Grandfather Yahweh, and the rays of his beauty will shine upon you like the sunrise. Behold, even though great darkness has fallen upon the nations, Grandfather's light will break through the clouds, the dark clouds, and shine upon you. Yes, his great light will surround you for a purpose, for all to see. And of course, I love the rest of that verse as Isaiah begins to say, others are going to be drawn to this light that you're shining. Because we receive the light so that we can give the light. We receive it to give it. If we receive it only, we haven't gone far enough. We have to become those that kind of like, a little bit like Moses. If you look at the story of Moses drawn from the water in the Hebrew scriptures, Moses would go into the presence of the Creator, and he would be face to face. And then his face would somehow soak up all this brilliance. And when he would get out in front of the people, and man, his face was glowing. Everybody could see his face is glowing. And that's a picture. Now, what was the purpose that God had Moses' face glow like that? Well, it was so that the people would believe that he had been with God, that he'd been with the Creator. But there was something about Moses that in the New Testament, it says that he would put a veil over his face. He would put a mask over his face. And why did he do that after he spoke to the people? Because the light was fading. The light was fading, and he didn't want anybody to see that the light was fading in his face. And when you read in the New Testament, when the apostle, small man, the message bearer, small man, Paul, speaks of that very thing, he says this was a sign that this old covenant, this covenant that God had given Israel, was a fading covenant. The light couldn't remain because there was a light coming that would remain, that would stay consistent, and that would get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter until the full sun has reached its zenith in the sky. And I believe we're still living in the time when that light is going to reach its zenith. And I want to see the light of Creator reaching its brilliance in our native peoples. That's where Creator has called me, to speak this light, to call people to face this light, because it's a beautiful thing. And our native people understand this. I'm going to talk about this a bit today. Now, I want to say this. Where was this prophecy first given? It was given to the people of Israel, the tribes of wrestles with Creator, and it was given to them when they were coming out of captivity in Babylon. You see, all the tribes had been taken into captivity, and they were living in Babylon, and they had been living in Babylon for 70 years. Think about that. These people, it's the young people coming out of Babylon. Most of the elders had died off, and these young peoples had never experienced being in their indigenous location where the Creator they had their temple, they had their sacrifices, they had their ceremonies, they had all these things. They had the Torah, the law, the instructions Creator gave them, and they had grown up in a foreign place, in a foreign land. And now it was time to restore them. It was time for them to experience a new beginning, a new day. And this is what's happening as Israel comes out of Babylon. But again, Israel didn't come out all at once. It wasn't like one giant group. As a matter of fact, only a small remnant of how many went into Babylon came out of Babylon. It was only a few tribes that came out. I find that interesting. And from this is a new beginning. And this is where Creator's taking us, I believe. Now, how do we get from Israel coming out of Babylon, and Creator will help us, Isaiah, prophesying this new beginning to them, and how do we bring this scripture? What does it mean to us today as Indigenous people? Well, before we go there, that's where we're going, and tomorrow we're going to look at that a little more. To understand where Isaiah is coming from, I want to go back in the sacred scriptures to the beginning, Genesis. Chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. I'm going to read this from a First Nation preliminary translation. Long ago, in the time before all days, before the beginning of all things, the Great Spirit created the spirit world above and the earth below. At that time, our Mother Earth was an empty wasteland with no form or beauty, and great darkness. Deep darkness. Great darkness was over the face of the ancient deep waters. So there's a picture here. Here's a picture right from the beginning. There's darkness everywhere. And then Creator speaks his word. And he says, let light be. What's the first thing? Is light. Now this is before the sun. The sun doesn't get put in place until, I think, the third or fourth day. We're not going to go through the whole picture of Genesis here, but this is the light of Creator. This is his creative light. This is the light that's going to set everything in place. This is the light that's going to expose the darkness and cause it to be pushed away. And it says that he separated light from the darkness. He distinguished between light and darkness. And that's important for us to understand, because as we get further along, we're going to see that sometimes darkness will try to masquerade itself as light. And that's an interesting thing that we begin to see in Scripture, that darkness can masquerade as light. Jesus said, and we'll look at this later, if the light that is in you, he's speaking to his people, to people who already believed in the Creator, if the light that is in you is darkness, then how great that darkness is. It's deeper darkness. Deep darkness comes from the light and the darkness not being separated. And that's what Jesus came to do, is to separate light from darkness. Because the people of Israel thought they were walking at that time in the light, but they were walking in darkness. But we're going to look specifically, what does this darkness look like? What is the qualities of this darkness, and what is the qualities of the light in relationship with one another? What does it look like? And we're going to be taking a look at that. So what is this light? What is this great darkness? Well, I'll say this ahead of time. Light is the life of Creator. And we know in John chapter 1, verse 4, it says, Creator's life shined out from the Word, giving light to all human beings. And it says, in him was life. And that life was the light. So Creator's very life is what he is shining out. When he says, let there be life, the very essence of who Creator is, the very qualities that make Creator who he is, he is now extending that out as a gift, as light. And so here, light is the first thing. And what does this light do? This light that comes from Creator and that gets separated from the darkness begins to make a space on earth. It begins to create sacred space within the darkness, separating the light from the darkness. It creates this sacred space. And what happens in this sacred space? Life starts happening. The waters, it says, are teeming with water creatures, kind of like indigenous creatures. The sky gets filled with winged ones, winged creatures. And the plants, the land, the ground begins to bring all these things forth, and plants begin to grow, and medicines begin to grow, food begins to grow, and the beauty begins to take place in this sacred space that Creator is gifting to us. It's his gift to us. It's his life. And within that light is his life. And his life is about creating space for human flourishing. He wants humans to be everything he's created humans to be. He wants I'll say this is jumping way ahead, but every tribe, every tongue, every language, we said tongue, every nation has a beauty that Creator has put into it, just like the spectrum of the rainbow, of the many different colors in the light. He has given all the colors of the world some of his light and some of his beauty, and that beauty, he wants to fully release it into the people around us. Creator has given our indigenous people some beautiful light. And as the indigenous of the land, as the ones Creator put here first. How many believe Creator put our indigenous people here first? Yeah, 2 people, okay. Not bad. I see 4, I see 5, I see that hand. Okay. It says in Acts chapter 17, verse 26, I believe it is, from one blood, one person, one man, in the beginning, one man-woman, kind of. Because she was in there too, right? I don't know how it works, but the Creator does. It says from one, it says he created all of us. All of us came from the same place, from the same beginning, from the same root, from the same dirt out of the ground. Every single one of us came from there. And then it says he established exactly where all these different peoples would live and the times that they would live in. And it says he did this so that they would seek after him and perhaps find him. So if he put our indigenous people here in this land, the purpose was so that they could seek him and learn his ways and perhaps find him. So if it's possible to find him, according to the scriptures, then some did find him. And I read, and I talk to my Anishinaabe elders, and I hear about the 7 grandfather teachings of love, wisdom, respect, humility. And I see all these 7 sacred teachings, and I say, wow, I think that's light. Those teachings have the light of Creator in them. And so many of our ceremonies was simply to reinforce these sacred teachings so that we would live in a good way with each other and everyone. So I believe that everywhere people can find Creator if they're looking for him. If they're looking for the Creator, we can find Him. But we got to be looking. We got to be able to recognize what is light and what is darkness. So I'll say this. Darkness is the absence of life. The absence of light, which is the absence of Creator's life. And this darkness is something that hinders the flourishing of creation. See, it not only hinders, you see, when we get hindered as human beings, who have been given, according to Genesis, the task or the sacred task of taking care of creation, being the caretakers of creation, when we get dark, creation will follow. And we've seen that, haven't we? We see it all around us. But where humans start caring for one another now, this is where we're going to talk about, where we begin to talk about the light. Now, I want to say one more thing about our indigenous perspective. I'm going to give you a few quotes. One I thought was kind of interesting was Tecumseh, or Tecumseh, some call him. He said this: when you rise in the morning, give thanks for the light, for your life, and for your strength. Our indigenous people, I think most of our tribes, every tribe I've researched and looked into and talked to the elders, they all say that they have some kind of sunrise ceremony or a sunrise, something to welcome the light of the new day. And there's sometimes ceremonies attached to that new light that's coming to us. So we knew something was up, didn't we? Our indigenous people are looking for the light. Looking for the light. Black elk. Now, black elk, he's Lakota. And a lot of people he's got some writings that were translated. He authorized someone to translate some of his writings and to teach some of the things that he learned as a Lakota holy man. And black elk, I find his writings interesting. Listen to this. This is from his book called The Sacred Pipe. He says the door of the sweat lodge is closed, making it completely dark inside. And the first thing I think of is, oh, yeah, Indians love darkness, don't they? Right? All those Native Americans, they're just in darkness. They don't know it, but they're just in darkness. Well, yeah, but listen to the rest of what Black Elk says. And the darkness, he says, represents the darkness in our souls. Now I got a different meaning here. We're going in there to be reminded that we've got darkness in our souls. And he says, from which we must now purify ourselves so that we may have the light. So Black Elk understood there's darkness in our souls, a holy man of our native people, and he understood that we need light. And then later he says the sweat lodge is always constructed with the door to the east, just like the temple in Jerusalem. Not today, but the original temple was toward the east. Most of our indigenous people, it's toward the east. Why? Because that's where the light comes from. That's where the sun rises. And it says, the sweat lodge is always constructed the door to the east, for it is from this direction that the light of wisdom comes. Now, Black Elk says that the light is the wisdom from Creator. I can buy that. You know, what we've got to start doing is start to understand that there were among our native people those who were seeking Creator, to know Him deeply. And we got to quit just casting that aside. And we've got to begin to honor what has been given by the Creator to our people. And begin to hold on to that and begin to work together, native and non-native people, instead of working against each other. Or, I'm going to present something tomorrow about darkness, and about this darkness that is not wisdom, about this darkness that is not life. And it's a darkness that has covered this land. And it's not the darkness of our indigenous people. Hello? It's the darkness of colonialism. And I want to tell you that is the deepest darkness. Because colonialism was disguising itself as light to our people. And then sadly, our churches got involved with the government, the colonial government, to begin to take away everything Creator had given us to seek Him out with. So that we really couldn't make that connection. You see, there's a connection between what Creator gave to the tribes of wrestles with Creator, what Creator has shown us through His Son Jesus, Creator sets free, and our native ways and our native thoughts. And so instead they want us just to get rid of everything and by their sin-stained culture and only follow Jesus in the context of the dominant culture. I remember the story I read in one place. This didn't happen everywhere, but in one place, before this certain denomination would baptize a native convert to Christianity, before they would do that, you would first have to build a stick house, put a fence around the house, and then attend church services on a regular basis. Then and only then can you be a candidate for baptism. Now, to me, as I listen to those words, I think the Apostle Paul, small man, might have words about that. I think Jesus himself, Creator sets free, might have words about that. That is not the gospel. That is not the good news. That is simply a dominant culture trying to plant its image and conform us to its image. Not the image of Jesus, but the image of the dominant culture. And that becomes a false gospel. That becomes a deep darkness, because the very ones who are saying they have the light and are giving us light were actually walking in darkness themselves and not realizing it. Just like in Jesus' day, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes were claiming to be in the light, but Jesus said, you are walking in darkness. You are blind guides, and you're leading people in darkness. All right. Looking tomorrow, we're going to take a little deeper look at the way light is manifested in human relationships. And then we're going to look at the way darkness is manifested in human relationships. And we're going to use the Hebrew scriptures and the Hebrew prophets and the words of Isaiah and the words of Jesus. And we're going to see how that this invitation that Isaiah is making to all people everywhere, including to our indigenous people, who I believe also need Jesus and his ways and his spirit to completely be who we're supposed to be. We need Jesus. But as we take a look at this, we're going to see where darkness and light got mixed up. And we're going to start coming to the place. There's an invitation. I believe Jesus renewed Isaiah's prophetic invitation to all of us. There's a way that the words of Isaiah can be experienced by us today through the Spirit of Creator sets free, Jesus, the chosen one. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek with two scriptures. Malachi 4:2. Malachi 4:2. But for you who have deep respect for my name, the Son, S-U-N, the Son of Righteousness, will rise with healing in his wings. We're going to look at that. Darlene and I live. I know there's someone Hopi is here, right? Yeah. I talked to a Hopi elder, and we got you have the Dawa face, and the Dawa face has feathers all around it, and it represents the sun. It's a representation of a sun, and I asked the Hopi elder, what do those feathers mean? And he goes, oh, they're the rays of the sun bringing healing. And then I read to him out of Malachi 4:2. And he says, that's right. He says, yeah. Then in Luke chapter 1, verse 78 and 79, because Creator is kind and gentle, he will come to us as the sunrise from above, to shine on the ones who sit in darkness and in the land of death's shadow, to guide our feet on the good road of peace. We are the keepers of the light that he has given us. Like in our gatherings, we have fire keepers. Well, every one of us is a fire keeper of the light of the Creator to shine out to one another. We're going to look at how that relates to us tomorrow, I believe. Miigwech, Bizendawi. Thank you for listening. And I'd like to invite my wife up here on the flute. And let's just take a few moments. She's going to play the flute. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to read. I would like everyone just to kind of think about light and darkness. Think about Isaiah's message. Think about our native cultures, and think about the dominant culture, and think about what do you think Jesus is trying to get us to see.
to make sure. I don't know where Cortland's lips have been, so it's probably snagging. That's why you were late yesterday. That's why they were late yesterday. Let's give Terry and Darlene another round of applause. So thank you, Terry, for shining the light on Scripture. You guys get it? Shining the light on Scripture. Nobody? Okay, I'll stop doing that. So thank you so much. I have some announcements really quick. I know there's a lot, so just bear with me. First one is Urbana. Someone want to share about that? Or there's a conference InterVarsity puts on?
Yes. There's
Okay, the guys are getting that ready. I'll keep going. So after this session breaks, we're going to do small groups again. And small group leaders, can you guys raise your hands just so people can find you guys? Try to be in a similar place as you did last night so your group can find you. Works. And if you don't have a small group, check the app, or maybe talk to Megan, or talk to Megan in the back. Workshop instructions after at 11:45 there'll be workshops where you can join a smaller group and just talk about stuff from a thought leader. Make sure you check those out. And then the basketball basketball, we'll get to play basketball at the gym, which is I think this way. So it's a whole separate building inside. So if you guys want to play basketball with some of your friends or other people from other colleges, just sign up outside so we know how many are going to be there and how we can play from there. And then this afternoon there's free time, which is always fun. There's also a gallery tour. So if you go to the building this way, is that correct? Oh yeah, we meet here at 4 for the gallery tour, which would be fun to see some art. There's a fry bread prayer ministry. Not sure what that is. Fry bread. Praying for fry bread, yeah. So to fall from the sky. I know, yeah. So we're praying for fry bread to fall from the sky. You can meet somewhere for that.
So at 2:30, the gal who's cooking for us is going to give fry bread cooking classes. And I believe they're going to meet in there's like a room kind of across the way, but if you come here between 2:30 and 5, and you don't have to be here the whole time, there can be some come and go. If you already know how to make fry bread, please come because we're making it for our feast tonight. So we would take both experienced and inexperienced. And then prayer ministry will be going on. Scott, is that going to be here or at the hotel? There's a prayer room in the back of the rec room. So if you would like to receive prayer ministry, it's very powerful and healing and good for your soul. So Scott and Connie are available to be praying for you.
And then tonight again, just a reminder, there's the feast and cultural night, so make sure that you're on time. If you're going to share a song or a dance or something, make sure you bring that to the hotel for tonight's session, so you don't have to go back. And then we'll have a good feast tonight. And then Laura, if you can invite her up to share, or stand up and share about the art show.
Our conference team of visual art has sponsored an exhibition here at Redwood, and it's called The Altars of Reconciliation, and it is in the building next to us. One of the artists, Erin Shaw, who's Chickasaw, will be here today to give a gallery topic tour, and she's brilliant and wonderful and creative, and we'd love it if you have time to go. But you'll see me later. I'll show you where the exhibit is. On your free time, you can go over there and take a peek and take a look. And it's about the tension between being an Indigenous individual and a Christian. And so these artists speak for that. And there are 3 artists, and there's 2 pieces up here. One is by an artist named Tony Tiger, who's in Old Seminole and Muskogee and Sack and Fox. I'm sorry, it's an old Sack and Fox. And then the round circle, which is called Threads of Blessing, I believe, and she makes several panels that Erin for storytelling in her artwork. It's amazing. And that's what they're please join us if you have time.
Okay. Thank you. So we're having some technical difficulties with the video. but bear with me. So, who has heard about Urbana? Okay, a lot of people have heard about Urbana. So Urbana is our, we call it missions conference, but here at WJEF, that's a trigger word for us. So we're going to say exciting, super fun, just worship the Lord, worship Jesus, worship Creator sets free together, and also discern and like figure out, what am I doing with my life? College students, you guys are all in that place right now. And this is just an opportunity to be saturated in so many awesome opportunities with so many different organizations that you can partner with. You can see doing, I don't know, this process of telling other people to rise and shine. Something that I found at Urbana when I was a student was this vision and idea to call Native people out of a heart of oppression and into a heart of bold kingdom work. And so I encourage you guys to consider signing up. Pray this weekend. It's coming up December. It's going to be December 28th to the 31st. And we have a video to kind of get you a little hype, and then I'll kind of share some logistical things after that. So hopefully, okay, try and play it actually. If it looks bad, you might not play it. I can just share it, yeah. Okay, it's time. That's it. I don't know. It's a cool jazzy video that talks about the study that's going to be happening at Urbana. So it's not just connecting with organizations; it's also actually diving into a different passage of the Bible ourselves. And so a lot of you guys got the First Nations copy. So if you guys have not gotten that, please find one of us so that we can hand you a copy yourself of the New Testament. In that New Testament is the book of Acts. What is it called in the First Nations version? Hold on. Who's pull it up? Who can pull it up? Who can pull it up? Okay, the good story continues. So we're going to be going through just how early followers of Jesus just took what the Spirit gave them and rolled with it. And so that's what all of us are doing with our lives. And it's a really good time. It's really awesome. You should consider going. It is quite expensive, but Native University has a lot of money and a lot of opportunity to make sure that you get there and you don't let money be the excuse you don't go. So December 28th to the 31st, we also have a promo code. Because this is considered a fall conference, you can get $200 off just by being here. And so if you sign up at Urbana, we can totally help you, and we might have some swag for you if you also sign up. You guys something else, Megan? Yes, so sign up this weekend for your awesome discount code and find us at the lounge. The lounge here or at the hotel? Great, cool. Yeah, find me, find someone else who's helping with registration at the hotel, home too. So, sound good? Cool. I'll hand it back to you now.
Awesome. Thanks. You can keep going. Thanks, Cedric. Let's give Cedric a round of applause for that. He made me want to go to Urbana this year. Yeah, it makes it sound so exciting. So before I release you for a break, which is right after this, at 11 o'clock is small groups. So make sure you find your small groups. And the workshops start at 11:45. September 11:45 workshops will be starting.
And then at 12:45, the shuttles will run back to the hotel, and lunch is on your own. Hopefully you got your $10 for Little Caesars or a million places to eat. So right now we have break, there's snacks in the other room. I remember 11 o'clock, small groups, 11:45 workshops, and 12:45 we go back to the hotel and have food time. Thank you guys so much. Have a good afternoon and good lunch.
Yeah.
All right.